Hello and welcome to an update on my December budget. We've gotten one paycheck so far and we've paid most of our bills, so hopefully this won't take too long. Although I always say that and then like 30 or 40 minutes later we're finally done. So hopefully we can get right through this and hopefully you'll find it a little bit interesting. So first of all, let's start with our income. I do a zero-based budget, so at the end of the month, all of our budget and everything that we've spent comes out to zero. So that means every single dollar is assigned a job to do so that we don't have any extra money hanging around. Usually anything extra goes to savings, but we also prioritize contributing to our savings as well. So first of all, for our income, my first paycheck was $3,384.95, and this is just the take-home pay. Next year, I'm going to start budgeting off of our gross income, my gross income, so that you can see how much taxes come out and how much is contributed to my 403B. And then for my husband's paycheck, so far he's contributed $2,494.96, and this is 85% of his take-home pay. He keeps the other 15% to spend however he wants. And similarly for me, I keep 15% of my paycheck in my own personal account for my own spending, but I track everything, my personal spending and the family spending, all on this budget spreadsheet. For interest, we haven't received any yet. Usually that gets paid out at the end of the month. Sometimes we get a few cents in the middle of the month, but we haven't gotten that yet. So moving on to our debts, we have paid our mortgage. That's $2,675, and this is a decrease from what we were paying most of the year. When they did an escrow analysis in October, they determined that we didn't have to pay quite so much to escrow. So the principal and the interest are still basically the same. The change in the payment is just due to how much we're contributing to escrow. And from escrow is where we pay the property taxes and the home insurance. Now for our car loan, we've paid one payment of $311.07. We pay this twice a month or every other week. We have a 3-year loan and we are just over a year into paying for that. And hopefully in the new year, we're going to focus on contributing extra towards that and hopefully paying it off within the first couple of months. I think we owe a little under $14,000 on that still. I'm not quite sure. And then for student loans, these are my husband's student loans from undergrad, and they are $382 a month. And then for my retirement account loan, I took this out for a down payment on the house, $50,000, and I've been paying on that for 3 years now. That comes out with my paycheck. That's $236.22. So we've paid that once and I'll pay it again with my next paycheck. So now moving on to our fixed expenses, we have our utilities, which is just electric. That was $184, just came out earlier this week. And then for car insurance, $156.98. We paid that on the first of the month. And then our internet was $29.99, just like we budgeted. We pay that also at the very beginning of the month. And then Acorns, which is my after-tax brokerage account, I pay $1 for a subscription fee for that. And that actually came out, but that was for November's subscription, not December's. So there may be another $1 in here by the end of the month for that. And then for daycare, we had budgeted $1,500 because we pay every Monday, and there's going to be 5 Mondays in December. However, if you saw my budget recap for November, we didn't pay for 1 week because my daughter was sick the week of Thanksgiving, so we didn't send her to daycare. But then we ended up paying for half of that week this month. So far, I paid $1,050 towards daycare, which means our daycare is going to be an extra $150 this month than we had budgeted, but that's not a big deal. So now moving on to our savings. I contribute every paycheck to an FSA, so $20 this week. And then we haven't spent any from it, although I do have an expense that I need to get reimbursed. We have about $100 left in that, so I think we're going to use that up as soon as I get this reimbursement done. My husband's Roth IRA, we budgeted $3,200. I'm not going to contribute anything now. I don't think that we're going to be able to contribute that full budgeted amount because of the increase of the daycare. But it's not a big deal. Last month we were able to contribute extra to his Roth IRA because we didn't pay for daycare. So it evens out. For Acorns, which I mentioned, my subscription, I also have a recurring monthly contribution of $5, plus I had a roundup at the beginning of the month, so I've actually contributed $10.15 to Acorns so far this month. I don't know if we'll have any other roundups. It really just depends on how many times I swipe my card, because it rounds up the change from any purchase that you make. And then once you hit $5, it contributes. Once you hit at least $5, it contributes the $5 plus whatever change to your account. The emergency fund, we're not budgeting anything for that. We didn't contribute any yet. The roof fund, we didn't budget anything because we have saved up that full amount. So we are not contributing to that anymore. And then my daughter's 529, we contributed $415 to that, which brings us to our goal of contributing $5,000. However, if you see my Transfer Tuesday, you notice that I messed up on the 529 when I opened it, so we're not going to get the full tax break for that this year, but it is what it is. So moving on to my sinking funds. I have sinking funds for basically everything. If you've been here for a while, you know that. I'm not going to contribute to any of them at this time. They're all pretty much positive except for like baby and health, but we only have $408 to work with, and I think we will have the car payment and another daycare payment before, like a couple days before we get my next paycheck. So we need to keep that balance there, even though we never actually go negative in our checking account because we have all of the singing funds in there. I'm not gonna put these things in our budget yet for this update. We'll fill them in at the end of the month. For groceries, so far this month, we've only spent $122.33. We haven't really gone out very much for groceries. And then for car and gas, I got gas once so far this month for $24.25. That was at the beginning of the month, and so I may need to get gas by the end of the month, but with the holidays, I might not be driving as much, so. And then for gifts and donations, so far we spent $77.17. Part Part of that spending was from my personal spending because I bought my husband a gift, and then the rest of it was starting to buy gifts for nieces and nephews, which is all of the gift giving spending that we spend for the holidays. We don't buy any gifts for the adults in the family. Sometimes we can make a little treat or something, but we don't buy big gifts or anything for the adults, which saves us on money and it saves us on clutter, because sometimes we get gifts that we may not want. So, and then the only other spending that we did this month was in health. My daughter had a doctor's appointment in October that it was supposed to be her annual wellness checkup, but it turned into a sick visit, and so we had to pay for a sick visit. We don't pay for the annual. We don't pay for the standard checkups or anything, but we do pay if she goes for a sick visit. So, I mean, we didn't intend to take her for a sick visit, but because she had a fever when we went, that's what it turned into, and so we had to pay for it. So that's all of our spending so far this month. Not too bad, $365. We do anticipate on spending a little bit more, probably more on groceries for baking cookies. Typically, we do all of the baking over at my dad's house, so he pays for most of the ingredients, but sometimes we will bake things at home and bring them, or if he can't get out to the grocery store, we'll pick up the items. So we may have more spending in groceries for that, and then obviously gifts, because we are really far behind on purchasing gifts for our family. Which is not really good if you don't have Amazon Prime, because when they all want things on Amazon, we can't get it delivered in time, so we have to find it somewhere else. So that's an update on my December budget. Let me know how your December's going and if you've finished your holiday shopping. I know that I'm awfully far behind. I appreciate you watching my budget update. Thank you for being here.